What you are about to see is a work of pure fiction. This content has no connection to reality whatsoever. The video contains scenes of violence and fictional events. All characters and all events mentioned are entirely imaginary. This content is presented for entertainment, review, and analysis purposes only, intended for viewers over 18. Welcome to a new compilation of our recap. If you missed any part, this video will gather all the events from the beginning for you. If you're already following along with us and want to jump straight to the new part starts from this minute. Grab your favorite drink and let's get started.
Imagine standing in front of a level 72 dragon, only moments away from death. And then, out of nowhere, a goblin appears and kills it with a single strike. The entire party is left in shock, not just because the goblin is a monster, so why is it helping them? But more importantly, how could a creature like that defeat a dragon in one hit? And then, our protagonist appears behind them. So who is he? And where did that goblin come from? Let's go back to the beginning and uncover everything. We see our protagonist working as a civil engineer, drowning in debt, completely exhausted by life. He says to himself, "I'm just a low-level goblin. No matter how hard I work, I'll always stay poor." Then he hears people talking about a game called Skygate, a full virtual reality game where the money you earn inside the game can be converted into real money. After work, he logs in. He works as a miner inside the game, trying to increase his income in real life. Eventually, he finds a rare and valuable crystal. He plans to sell it and finally make some decent money. But suddenly, an adventurer party appears before him. They ask him to help them. There is a sealed dungeon ahead, and they need someone with his mining skills to open it. But the girl with them, Catherine, starts sweet-talking him. And like a fool, he agrees and joins them. He enters the dungeon with the party, and suddenly a pack of wolves appears and attacks him. But Catherine protects him. She tells him to stay close so he will not get hurt. And honestly, that was all it took. But the rest of the team looked down on him. To them, he was nothing but a worthless miner. That makes our protagonist furious. So he starts smashing through the rocks with all his strength. And then a gate appears. That means they have discovered a double dungeon. More treasure, but far greater danger. Our protagonist gets excited, thinking he has achieved something important. But Catherine looks at him and says, "We achieved something?" And in the next moment, one of the party members attacks him from behind and paralyzes him. That is when he learns the truth. They already knew about the hidden gate. They used him just to reach it. Then they strike him down and leave him for dead. Sometime later, our protagonist wakes up, confused. How is he still alive? Then he realizes the crystal he found has revived him inside the game. But instead of feeling relieved, he gets angry. Because now the crystal is gone, and so is the money he could have made from it. So he decides to enter the dungeon after them and get his revenge. He jumps inside and instantly loses most of his health. There, he finds the Goblin Shrine. At first, he thinks it should be an easy dungeon. After all, goblins are supposed to be the weakest creatures in the game. But while exploring, he finds one of the party members dead. Then a warning appears before him. This dungeon is far beyond your level. Leave immediately. That is when he sees the rest of the party, caught by a monster named Jiger, level 80. And right in front of him, the monster is devouring one of them alive. Catherine desperately begs him for help, but he answers, "You really think I'm going to save you? What am I supposed to do against a monster like that?" He explains that in this game, pain feels completely real. And if your injuries are severe enough, you can actually die for real. So he decides to run. And he says, "You abandoned me, so now I'm abandoning you. That makes us even." But suddenly, a notification appears. The Goblin Lord has noticed your weakness and your cowardice. That makes him snap. He shouts, "You think I chose this life? I wanted to be a hero like them. But debt is what turned me into this. And who are you anyway? You're nothing but a filthy goblin." Then another notification appears. You have been selected as a goblin summoner. Even when he tries to refuse, the system chooses for him. At that exact moment, the monster starts charging toward him. So he decides to summon the goblin as bait, to distract the monster and escape. But before he can run, the goblin attacks, and with a single strike, it kills the monster. In that moment, our protagonist's stats increase, and the goblin's stats increase as well. Then he gains new skills: goblin feeding and goblin walking. And finally, he discovers the shocking truth. His goblin is max level. Before that, let's go back to the moment when the monster killed Catherine inside the game. The shock caused severe brain damage, and it looks like she is about to fall into a coma. Meanwhile, our protagonist is letting the goblin fight for him, while he says happily, "That's enough, man. I can't carry any more magic stones." And by the way, our protagonist's name is Kim Chol-soo. We also notice that he has already reached level 31, and there is still no information at all about the goblin in the system. So Kim thinks it is just a bug in the game. But he does not really care. He just wants to take full advantage of it and become rich. He goes to the bank and sells all those items, and ends up making more than 97,000 won, which is about 3,000 Egyptian pounds, so not really a huge amount like you might expect. But when he tells the employee that he wants to sell Jiga's membrane and heart, she is shocked and immediately calls the manager. The manager serves him tea and treats him with great respect. Then he says, "Do you really think it is wise to leave all that money in an ordinary account?" Kim is confused, because to him they are just normal in-game items. Then he is stunned when the manager tells him their value is 230 million won. That is literally around 8 million Egyptian pounds. Kim is overwhelmed with happiness and goes back into the game. He praises the goblin and says, "Thanks to you, I was able to pay off 10% of my debt." While Kim is in the city, people keep mocking him, because from their point of view, he is just a goblin summoner, the class with the weakest creature in the game. Then an adventurer appears, known for his devastating baton strike. He attacks the goblin, but the goblin takes him down with ease. Then the rest of the guild members show up. They are Yoon-hyuk, Min-song, Suji from the assassin class, and Ji-hyun, the archer. Our protagonist tries to calm them down and tells them the monster is just a goblin. But at that very moment, the goblin uses stone throw and kills Min-song with ease. So Kim runs away and the others chase after him. Then someone named Song Griol the Cunning calls out to him and says, "Get in here, quickly!" Kim goes inside, and while he is running away, a notification appears. The Goblin King is impressed that he deceived the adventurers, and he receives 1 goblin point. Kim gets annoyed and says to himself, "First you called me weak, and now you call me cunning?" Then he decides to destroy the Everton Guild, the same guild that is trying to kill him right now. And while the guild is chasing after him, they suddenly find Song Griol the Cunning lying on the ground. It turns out he had tried to deceive Kim and kill him, but Kim got rid of him first. The goblin is just about to finish off Yoon-hyuk, but Ji-hyun protects him. So Yoon-hyuk decides not to hold back anymore and uses the absolute evil skill. In short, it lowers his health, but boosts the power of his attack to the extreme. Ji-hyun immediately follows up with whirlwind arrows, which increases Yoon-hyuk's speed and removes the negative effect of absolute evil, because absolute evil reduces speed by 90%. Then Yoon-hyuk charges at the Goblin with blinding speed, but he deals no damage at all, and the Goblin defeats him with ease. Then Kim appears in front of Ji-hyun. His eyes are full of malice, and he says,
"Yeah, I'm the one who summoned it."
Ji-hyun is left wondering, how could a Goblin possibly have all that power? And from the way Kim speaks, she thinks he is harassing her, so she screams. Kim tells the Goblin, shut her mouth, but the other players have already seen what is happening, and they start saying, look at that player with the Goblin. He wiped out the entire Everton Guild, and now he is harassing the last remaining member. Kim is shocked, and he shouts, "Stop, Goblin!" People think he is trying to save her, and they start cheering for him. So he says to himself, if I save her, people will see me as a hero. And he really does tell Ji-hyun, don't tell anyone what happened, and don't tell anyone that I was the one who summoned the Goblin. So she swears that she will not tell anyone. After that, Kim uses the Goblin walking skill and moves it away from the place. Then, with the Goblin feeding skill, he leads it even farther, all the way to the city gate. And he tells the guards to lock it up. After that, he looks at her with a cunning expression and says,
"If you don't keep your promise, I'll kill you countless times until you regret your mistakes."
She becomes terrified of him and quickly walks away. Later on, Kim is resting for a while in a hotel, and he uses the Goblin point he earned to unlock a skill called Reunion. The moment he activates it, the Goblin instantly appears in front of him, and he realizes that it is a skill that lets him summon it anytime. At night, Kim meets the members of the Everton Guild, and they thank him for saving them. So he tells them that he helped them because he needs something from them. Help in increasing his experience. Then Song-ryol appears and apologizes to him for what happened during the attack. And he explains to him that if he wants to leave the beginner zone, he has to defeat a boss gate. And that gate only appears once a month. They had been waiting for it since yesterday, but they lost their chance because of the Goblin. Kim gets upset, because that means he will have to wait a whole month. But suddenly, without any warning, a notification appears. The boss gate has opened. Kim realizes they lied to him. The gate really did open right in front of him, but they tell him it is just a bug in the system. So they decide to go in, and Kim tells the Goblin to wait outside. He will summon it whenever he needs it. He also has a healing stone with him, one that can bring him back to life if anything happens. And sure enough, the members of the Everton Guild go in first, and Kim goes in after them. But the moment he enters, he finds them running. They are fleeing from a giant boss, Valazi, and they tell him to run quickly. This is a hidden dungeon, and its level is far too high. But Kim thinks, you just want to take the reward for yourselves? So he decides to face the boss himself. He tries to summon the Goblin, but it does not work, and the boss kills him with ease. Then the gate closes. At the same time, the guild members decide to face the boss on their own. Kim feels the damage in the real world and realizes that he died because he did not use all of his abilities. Then we return to the guild. Ji-hyun boosts the team speed, and Eun-hyuk attacks the boss alongside another member, moving at incredible speed, trying to figure out its weak point. But it leads to nothing. The monster takes no damage at all. And then the reason becomes clear. The boss has a skill called Hatred of the Weak. Any attack weaker than its own power gets completely nullified. One of the team members uses a skill called War Cry to draw the monster's attention, until Ji-hyun can prepare a powerful strike. The monster attacks him, but Song-ryol uses pain sharing and cuts the damage in half. Kim watches all of this and is impressed by them. So he decides to come back to life and join the fight. And the moment he appears, he provokes the monster. And suddenly, system messages begin to appear. The monster has wiped them all out. Only Eun-hyuk and Ji-hyun are left. And she asks him, "Should I fire now or should I wait?" And it is clear that she is using a skill that consumes all of her life in a single attack. Eun-hyuk replies, "Not yet, it is still not enough." And he tries to buy her more time. But his mana runs out, and the monster finishes him off. Kim suddenly appears and says to Ji-hyun, "Didn't you say you can't move while charging it?" He looks at her with that cunning expression, and she is already terrified of him. But Kim actually means well for once. So he lifts her onto his shoulder. And it turns out that he put all of his stat points into speed and agility. He starts moving at insane speed, dodging every attack from the monster and giving her enough time, until she finally releases the attack, and they defeat the boss, and their levels go up. And of course, Kim has his eye on the reward. After Kim and Ji-hyun defeat the boss, everyone comes back to life, including Song-ryul, who somehow still looks just as foolish as ever. Kim grabs the reward and refuses to let it go. Ji-hyun explains that even though they won, they still failed to meet the conditions for the hidden class, and that is the same class Kim already obtained. But Kim does not care at all. He wants the entire reward for himself. The guild members tell him, "We appreciate your help," even though he did not really help them at all. Then they say the fair thing is to split the reward, because all they really want is the bow, since it is a unique item. Kim starts thinking about selling it and making money. But then a message appears. The bow can only be used by archers and cannot be sold, which means he cannot use it, and he cannot even sell it. And even then, he still wants to keep it. He tells them, "Do you really think I would hand it over for free?" In the end, they make a deal with him, and Ji-hyun takes the bow because she is an archer. Then they ask him, "What are you going to do next?" Kim answers, "Anywhere other than where you are," and walks away from them. Ji-hyun smiles at him, and it is clear she is starting to like him. Instead of the bow, Kim receives the thief gloves, which can steal one item, and also a piece of high-purity steel ore. Then he heads to the city of Fiorindel and decides to replace his gear because it is far too weak. On the way, he meets Irene, a level 76 beast summoner, and her beast is a giant cat named Michelle. She advises him to treat his summon well and give it a name, but he refuses and says he does not need advice. Then he goes to the blacksmith Humphrey, who mocks his equipment and tells him wearing trash would have been better. He offers him an armor set for £2,000, and Kim buys it immediately. But the moment he puts it on, he realizes it is way too heavy, because it requires more than 24 strength, and Kim had put all his points into speed. He tries to sell it back, but Humphrey laughs at him and buys it for only £200. Then, all of a sudden, an exclamation mark appears above Humphrey's head, and he says he lost his hammer. A new quest appears. If Kim completes it, Humphrey will give him materials and forge powerful equipment for him. Kim accepts because he already has valuable ore with him, but the quest will not be easy. He has to find the hammer and protect Humphrey from the monsters. A system message appears. If Humphrey dies, the quest will fail. Kim thinks about ignoring him and rushing ahead to kill the boss alone. But the moment he tries, a notification appears. Humphrey is under attack. So Kim is forced to order the Goblin to save him. Then he comes up with another plan. He tells the Goblin to kill anything that gets close to Humphrey. But Humphrey does the exact opposite. He provokes the monsters himself and makes them attack him. His scream ends up drawing the Great Skeleton King and his entire army. But with a single rock, the goblin wipes them all out. After 3 hours, Kim is completely exhausted, but his level reaches 37. Then, all of a sudden, they fall into a trap and arrows start raining down on them. Kim uses the goblin as a shield, but Humphrey dies. Kim decides he is going to kill him himself all over again. But then a system message appears. The quest was successful. The hammer was actually with the very first monster they killed, but Kim never noticed. Humphrey gives him the steel and forges a rare armor for him. Kim is thrilled with the result. But then another notification appears. Player killing mode has been activated, and someone attacks him from behind. But Kim dodges easily. The attacker tells him, "You must be strong. That is why you left that woman half dead." Kim is confused and wonders who he is talking about. Then the man continues, "Do you not remember Catherine?" Kim answers, "Why should I care? She was the one who kidnapped me and betrayed me." But the man tells him she is in a coma now, while you are still walking around like nothing happened. That is when Kim realizes the truth. The attack on her caused brain damage and left her brain dead. He tries to justify himself, but the man refuses to listen and says she is the heir of the Simmong family. Then he attacks Kim, but it has no effect at all, because Kim uses the goblin as a shield. Kim stares at him and says, "The Simmong family. It looks like this is about to become a huge disaster."
Kim explains just how dangerous the Simmong family really is. They are extremely rich, basically like Microsoft in our world. Then we see him at the hospital with Catherine's servant, and he tells him that she was attacked by a level 80 monster, and that is why she fell into a coma. The servant asks him then, "How did you survive?" Kim answers by saying he got a hidden class by chance and managed to escape. Then he learns from the servant that the doctors failed to treat her and still do not know why she has not woken up. So Kim suggests that since the injury happened inside the game, they should try treating her inside the game too. But in reality, he was only giving him false hope so he could get out of the situation. But the servant actually believes him and brings Catherine into the game with him. Kim decides to help her, at least for the money. But because she is in a coma, he makes the goblin move her around, and people are disgusted by the sight. So he tells them, "She is my relative," and they answer, "Even if I were your relative, would you treat me like that?" Then Song Ryul suddenly appears and tells him, "Come with me, there is no time." Kim goes with him and asks, "What are you people planning to do to me now?" Song Ryul replies, "I am just a member, and we do not always gather together." Kim asks him for information. Then a notification suddenly appears. Player killing mode has been activated. Song Ryul tries to kill him, but Kim smashes him in the head. Kim then explains that every month a boss dungeon appears and that there is also a main quest in the capital. Kim gets excited and decides to go. But then he notices something strange. Catherine has disappeared and he realizes she has been kidnapped. Bandits stole her because of her equipment. Kim runs at full speed to find her. At the worst possible moment, the servant calls him and says, "Show me the young miss right now." Kim replies, "Just wait a little and I will show her to you," then hangs up. We also learn that Catherine's father is there too, but he has already lost hope in her and has basically abandoned her because she wasted her life inside the game. Then we return to Kim. He uses a goblin point and gains a new skill called Goblin Throw. Then he summons the goblin and throws it above the city so it can locate her. He finally reaches the kidnappers and defeats them easily with the goblin's help. But then a royal guard suddenly appears.
Just imagine the scene from his point of view. A player holding a girl with a goblin standing next to him and two men lying on the ground. So who do you think he is going to arrest? The guard sees the scene and immediately starts questioning Kim. He says, "Did you kill two people and kidnap a girl?" Kim thinks fast. In a situation like this, the only real answer is to run. Because there is no way he can explain this, and if he stays, he will be thrown in prison right away. Then Song Ryul suddenly appears and tells him, "Work with me and I will get you out of here. Because if you kill a royal guard, the entire game will turn against you." He even tries to bribe the guard. But instead, the guard arrests him and not Kim. Somewhere else, Kim finally reaches the royal capital. He tries to enter but gets rejected. Then he meets a man who tells him, "I can see the spirit of adventure in your eyes," even though his eyes honestly look like someone who has lost all passion. But Kim accepts the quest anyway. The mission is to obtain a golem core, so he heads there and takes Catherine with him. And the way he and the goblin treat her is completely inhuman. Then we see Catherine's past. Her father used to beat her when she was little over the smallest things, and even her mother never helped her. She always left her alone. Then we return to the present. Kim tries to save her with artificial breathing. Then the servant calls him and asks, "What are you doing?" Kim explains that he is at the hospital checking on her condition and that the armor she is wearing is protecting her from damage. But Kim hangs up in his face. After that, he starts using her like a tool. He drags her across the ground and even uses her while fighting the golem. He gains a goblin point, and it becomes clear that he is literally using her to trigger traps. Then, all of a sudden, her fingers start moving. Kim orders the goblin to kill the golem, and it works. But the golem comes back to life and grows even bigger. He hits it again, and it grows even more. Kim decides to run because he still does not know its weak point. Then the golem attacks Catherine, and suddenly she regains consciousness because the attack brings back her memories of the Jigger monster.
Catherine remembers the moment the monster attacked her, and she screams from the shock. At the same time, the golem is attacking her, and our protagonist says, "Hopefully this will pass safely." Then she appears behind him because she used the escape skill, and we notice that she has woken up from the coma. Our protagonist gets terrified that she might remember what he did to her earlier, and that he was using her like a stone to clear traps. She keeps yelling at him and tells him, "Explain to me what is happening." So he tells her, "You entered a coma when a monster attacked you, and I took care of you with complete sincerity, and thanks to that you regained consciousness." And focus on the complete sincerity part. But before he can finish talking, the golem hits him with a strike and sends him flying. It turns out that the golem has evolved to a higher level because they defeated it way too many times. Catherine is terrified of the monster and says, "If my father finds out that I'm playing, he will kill me." In the real world, she has regained consciousness, and the servant thinks Kim did something to her. I mean, he actually did something to her, but let's pretend we didn't notice. The doctors want to take her out of the game and treat her from the shock, but the servant says that the game uses a sensory sharing system, and that means they can't take her out of the game while she is inside a dungeon like this. So the servant decides to enter the game himself to check on her. Inside the game, the golem uses rock projectile on Catherine, but at the last moment the goblin saves her. Kim tells her, "What are you doing? There's no way you can escape from it with your speed." But Catherine falls to the ground, and her face clearly shows that she is extremely terrified. Kim uses the chance and orders the goblin to knock her unconscious, so she won't say that they treated her badly. At that moment, Catherine begs him to save her. So Kim tells her, "Of course we'll save you. Don't worry." But she tells him, "I don't mean from the monsters. I want you to save me from my mother, my father, and my whole family." The servant calls at that moment to check on Catherine. So Kim stops the goblin and tells the servant, "Come on, man. Do you think I kidnapped her or what? I'm helping her recover." Then he points the camera at her and shows him that she is fine. The servant tells him, "Since she has started to recover, I order you to leave the place you are in immediately. And from this moment on, you are no longer responsible for Lady Catherine. Then he ends the call. It turns out that Kim made her pretend she was still unconscious so the company wouldn't suspect her. Then he tells her, like you promised me, give me more money now. But Catherine tells him, I was lying. So Kim threatens her that he will tell them she is fine. Catherine tells him, I'll sell you all my equipment. Kim says, this junk. So she tells him, they are worth 10 billion. Immediately, as soon as our protagonist smells money, he calls the Goblin to defeat the Golem. But because the Goblin already defeated it so many times, the Golem has reached level 170. And it has literally become overpowered, to the point that it now has 4 arms. Kim tries to run away from it, and the Golem is about to kill him. But Catherine steps in and freezes it. She tells him, what are you standing there for? Run, Magdi. And they actually escape. But suddenly, the rope around Catherine's neck pulls her backward toward the Goblin. Our protagonist Kim remembers when he abandoned her before, back when he was weak. And this time he is going to save her. But he abandons her and leaves again. He tells himself, if I die, no one will care about me. At least she has a full medical team. And just as the Golem attacks her, the ruler character appears. And he is actually the owner of this mission. He cuts the Golem with a single sword move and tells them, I'll take care of this from here. Our protagonist understands that the goal of the mission was not to defeat the Golem. The goal was to be defeated by it. And once that happens, the game sends the ruler character to save the player. The ruler starts attacking with all his strength, but the Golem defeats him easily. He attacks again, but he gets defeated again. That's because the ruler is level 70, while the Golem has gone out of control. Kim explains to us that the Golem was originally level 40. The player was supposed to lose against it. Then the ruler would appear and save him because the ruler is level 70 and could defeat it easily. But since they defeated the Golem more than once and raised its level because of the Goblin, of course, everything changed. Kim watches its movements and realizes that it is targeting the Golem's heart. So he makes the Goblin attack it, and they finally defeat the Golem. After that, he and Catherine walk with the ruler, and the ruler keeps talking about how amazing he is and how there is no one like him. Even though his face looks absolutely terrible, our protagonist pretends to listen to him so the ruler won't focus on Catherine. After the ruler finishes talking, Kim is about to apologize to her. But at that moment her father appears. When he sees Kim, he says, this is the first time I've seen someone wearing equipment that expensive. But Catherine is terrified of him, and he tells her, I was worried about you, but it looks like you were trying to play a stupid prank on your father. Her father thanks Kim for helping Catherine wake up and recover, and he tells him that he will contact him soon and give him a reward. Our protagonist feels regret when he lets her leave with her father. Then suddenly he screams and says, wait right there. You are Han Jimin, the chairman of C. Myung Group. Everyone thinks you are kind, generous, and noble. If that's true, then why is Catherine so scared of you? I will save you from him. But it turns out that Kim is only imagining this scenario in his head. He actually wants to save her. He sees everyone gathered around her father, and her father is ashamed of his daughter. When someone asked him about her, he says, she is just a member of the team. At that moment, Kim sees the sly Seungryal, who escaped from the guards through the sewers. Seungryal tells him, the girl with Chairman Han Jimin. Why does he call her just a member of the team, even though she is his daughter? And why does she look so badly injured? Our protagonist pretends to be stupid, because he is the reason behind all those external injuries. So Seungryal continues and tells him, I don't mean the injuries on the outside. I mean I saw injuries on the girl's body. And as you know, in Skygate, injuries appear normally on your character. So Kim stops her father and tells him, how could you kidnap an innocent girl like this? This girl is my girlfriend. Give her back to me, chairman of C. Myung Company. Everyone is shocked by what he says. Kim continues and says, if she is just a member of your team, why are you entering alone with her, you creep? Suddenly the head servant appears and says, I came as soon as I heard that the daughter of the C. Myung family woke up. And yes, this is not the head servant or anything. This is Seungryal in disguise. Kim gets close to Catherine's father and tells him, if you don't admit she is your daughter, I will tell them that you were physically abusing her. So Han Jimin raises his voice and says, listen everyone, this girl and these two people are trying to blackmail me for money. Nothing more. I have never even seen them before in my life, and that is why I will execute them right now. Player kill mode activates, and at that moment, someone attacks him and sends him flying away. That person turns out to be the Goblin in disguise. Our protagonist says, if they find out I'm with the Goblin, they'll kill me. So he grabs the Goblin and uses the Goblin throw skill, sending him flying away. Kim says, "What is this monster? I don't know him," and he pretends to be stupid. The problem is that people actually believe him. He gets close to Catherine and tells her, "Wake up and focus with me." She yells at him and tells him, "Stay away from me. You're not going to save me or anything. Just leave me to die like before." Kim replies and tells her, "Whether I care about you or not is my decision. There is no prince on a white horse coming to save you. There are only trashy people like me." Then he continues and tells her, "Look at your trash father. He already got punished. And this is your chance to stab him in the back in front of all these people." Then Kim says, "Wait, what? She turned out not to be my girlfriend. I just remembered I left the gas open at home. Peace be upon you, I'm leaving." After he leaves, Catherine admits to everyone that her father was abusing her at home. The bruises were covering her body, and she wished for death every day. At first, people don't believe her. They think she is trying to ruin her father's reputation. But she shows the bruises on her body and publishes her whole story with all the evidence. Because of that, the company's stock crashes completely, and her father gets sick from all the pressure. Or maybe he is just pretending. Our protagonist becomes terrified that they might send someone to kill him after what he did. So Seungryal reassures him and tells him that if anything happens to him, it will affect the company's reputation. So they will leave him alone. Kim gets upset because he didn't get his reward after all of that. So Seungryal tells him, "What you did is more important than money." When Kim asks him, "Where did you get the head servant outfit from?" Seungryal tells him, "I stole it, of course." Then the guard comes and takes him back to prison again. After that, Catherine's personal servant calls him and thanks him for helping her regain consciousness. He tells him, "Even I, who served her for years, didn't notice what she was going through. So thank you for exposing her father and helping her." Our protagonist tells him, "So there are no financial rewards for my great efforts or what? You people look really stingy." The servant tells him, "Sorry, we were kicked out of the company and we no longer have a place to live. But people will surely support us. That's why we started a live stream to collect donations." He continues and tells him that he used the reward from his service to make her a filming studio. Then he tells him, "Thank you for giving her a chance to live her life like a normal person and enjoy it." Kim gets embarrassed and tells him, "If you were grateful to me, you would have sent money, man." The servant replies, "Check your mail. I sent you something. It's not money, but you'll like it. The young lady is the one who sent it to you." Then the servant hangs up on him, just like he used to do. Kim goes to the mail and meets Rachel, the male worker in the game. The item is cursed, and the moment Rachel touches it, her behavior changes. Our protagonist takes it anyway. After that, he goes to the ruler and sees the new mission. It turns out to be cleansing the goblin village. The ruler tells him, "They are just evil goblins that harm people. Get rid of them and come back immediately." When our protagonist tells the goblin about the mission, the goblin blows air in his face and looks upset. It turns out that the goblin is upset with him because he threw him last time. Kim remembers the words of Erin, the monster summoner. She told him that he should treat his summoned monster well so it would like him. Suddenly, while they are on the road, a goblin appears in front of them, and it looks similar to our protagonist's goblin. Kim orders the goblin to attack him, but the second goblin dodges the attack. Then it attacks Kim and bites his head. The goblin is about to save him, so our protagonist tells him, "Calm down, man. Don't hit me with him." The driver takes out his rifle, so Kim tells him, "Shoot only the one in front of you." But he shoots Kim himself, so Kim tells him, "Not me, man." Suddenly, the goblin that bit Kim starts crying and tells him, "Please save me. I thought you had kidnapped this goblin, so I was trying to save him." Kim is shocked that the goblin can talk, but of course, our protagonist doesn't forgive him. He ties him to the vehicle and tells him that he will wipe out his entire village. The driver takes him to the road leading to the village, then leaves him there and goes away. Our protagonist grabs the second goblin and tells him, "I kept you alive in case there are traps on the road or something." The goblin tells him, "Yes, I made a mistake and attacked you, but if you saw a human like you kidnapped, wouldn't you save him?" Our protagonist looks at him with pure evil and says, "No, I wouldn't save him." Kim starts thinking, why does he even want to kill them? Just because of a stupid mission in the game. He keeps questioning himself until he sees the wife of the goblin with them. The goblin screams and tells them to run away quickly. Kim orders his goblin to throw stones at them, but the goblin in his hand runs away and goes to save his family. Kim is confused. How are the goblins evil when they are this kind? After that, he reaches the goblin village. The goblins there make fun of him and say, "Which goblin village are you from? Your face is so ugly." Kim is already about to leave the mission and go away, but the goblin tells him, "I attacked you, so I have to invite you to eat and at least make it up to you." And he actually invites him to eat the poisonous goblin soup. By accident, one of the goblins bumps into it and the food lands on his face, causing him damage. The goblin starts laughing at him. Then he asks him how he travels with a goblin. Kim tells him that this is his summoned goblin. The goblin is surprised and tells him, "Goblins are always seen as weak creatures. That's why no one goes on adventures with them. They just kill them and move on." The goblin gets depressed, so our protagonist Kim replies and tells him, "You have a wife, friends, and children. I don't have any of that. I don't even have the courage to sacrifice myself for my family like you." At the same time, there is a goblin above him trying to attack him. But since our protagonist has high agility points, he dodges the attack easily. A cockroach falls from above, and there is another goblin under the table trying to stab him. Our protagonist's goblin kills the cockroach, and by accident, he kills the goblin under the table too. Another goblin tries to attack him, but he dies as well. So our protagonist thinks that the goblins are kind and decent. He leaves them and walks away. At that moment, one of the adventurers appears, and he has killed one of the goblins in front of our protagonist. So what will our protagonist do? Will he side with the humans or the adventurers? And will he manage to notice that the goblins are actually treacherous monsters, or will it be too late? We'll find out all of that in the next video.